Jia Kui and Jia Chong. Jia Chong's father, Jia Kui, was considered an epitome of faithfulness to the Tao Wei state. He did not have a son until late in his life and was very pleased when Jia Chong was born in the year 217. His second son, Jia Hun, and Jia Chong both had many children, and they all went on to serve under the Jin dynasty. But Jia Kui began his service under Tao Wei as a military general and politician, whereas Jia Chong only served as a politician despite coordinating and partaking in the final invasion against Wu. Jia Kui was born in 174 and was from Heidong Commandery. His family was well off, but his father died early, which led to them becoming poor. He was forced to borrow clothes from his uncle in the wintertime, but he still went on to become known as an adept scholar. Throughout his career, he was appointed to several prefect positions, an administrator role, and as the imperial registrar. He was also enfeoffed to a secondary marquis for his skill in keeping his jurisdictions prepared for battle and well supplied. In the year 202, when Tao attacked Yuan Shang and Yuan Tan at the Battle of Liyang, Jia Kui led forces to defend Heidong Commandery after Gao Gan, Guo Yuan, and Hu Chu Chuan were sent by the Yuans in a counterattack. Things looked dire, and Jia Kui could not hold up against the attacks. To save him, the elders of the city arranged to surrender over to Guo Yuan if Jia Kui was spared. Guo wanted to kill him anyway after he refused to surrender, but the people of the city threatened to riot, so he was thrown into prison instead. Zhang Yao was sent by Cao Cao to recruit forces from Liang province to support the position, so Ma Chao and Pang De were sent by Ma Teng to answer the call. Jia Kui had earlier tricked the invaders into halting at the city for a day, whilst he sent a messenger to warn troops at Pishi County. This gave the Wei reinforcements extra time to arrive and prepare for battle. Jia Kui had already escaped prison by the time that Pang De beheaded Guo Yuan, thanks to one of his guards who helped him escape. He later only learnt of the guard's name when he found out he had committed a crime and was being sentenced to death. Jia Kui tried to save Zhu Gongdao but failed to get him pardoned, so he performed mourning rituals for him after his death. Within the year, he became a magistrate in Hongnong, and he came under attack by Gao Gan again, who had tried to ally with Zhang Yan. Jia pretended to be loyal to Zhang, which enabled him to catch Gao Gan's forces off guard and then put an end to their invasion in the process. When Tao headed south to invade Sun Chuan for eluding the Battle of Chibi, Jia Kui and two of his colleagues wrote to try to dissuade their lord, who wanted to punish them for their doubts. Jia Kui took the blame for all three letters, but Tao forgave them anyway after his loss, and began to admire him for his loyalty. Jia Kui served as the governor of Hongnong throughout the Battle of Tong Pass, but was dismissed from this duty and became the chief secretary to the prime minister. He served as a military advisor during Tao's invasion of Hanzhong, where he worked as a quartermaster of the army alongside Xia Haoshang. A legend that surrounds Tao Zhang's death has him casually ask Tao Pi to see the seal one day after their father's passing, which made the latter suspicious. An uncited source claims that Jia Kui advised Tao Zhang to not ask such questions, as it makes it seem as if he wants to take the throne for himself. During the transition of power after Cao Cao's passing, Jia Kui advised the border officers not to suppress those who defected upon hearing of his death. When Tao Pi came to power, Jia was further promoted to the governor of Yiling, Wei Jin, and as the prefect of Yuzhou. During his second tenure as governor, he punished corrupt officials, built numerous dams to aid the farmland, dug tunnels through mountains, and constructed large reservoirs. He built many watchtowers in anticipation of Wu raids, and he made sure the weapons and armour were well repaired and sharp. Tao Pi enfeoffed him as a marquis for his efforts. Later, under Tao Rui, Jia Kui was dispatched to aid Tao Ziyu in planning his invasion of Wu. Zhou Fang tricked them by pretending to defect, which secured a victory for Wu. Kui found Zhou Fang's defection suspicious and maintained his guard. He was able to save Tao Ziyu from the ambush and protected them whilst they retreated. For this, he received praise from the Wei Emperor. According to legend, after Jia Kui told Tao not to trust Zhou Fang, he didn't only ignore his advice and fell for the ruse, he also removed Kui from command and carried on with his 70,000 troops. Jia Kui passed away in the year 228 at the age of 54. Jia Chong would have been 11 years old at the time and would go on to inherit his father's marquis title. He served under the Wei regent Sima Shi and then his brother and successor Sima Zhao. Jia Chong's first wife Li Wan was a daughter of Li Feng, who was executed on grounds of treason by Sima Zhao for allegedly conspiring with Tao Fang. She had already given him 2 daughters, but as Jia wanted to pledge himself to Sima Zhao, he divorced her before she was sent into exile. He married Guo Huai next, the niece of the male Wei general Guo Huai. She bore him 2 daughters, Jia Nanfeng and Jia Wu, and a son, Jia Limin, but her unusual jealousy doomed her child. Jia Chong had returned home one day when he caressed his son who was being held by the wet nurse. Guo Huai misinterpreted it as him having an affair and so killed the nurse in a fit of rage. The baby was so distressed by the ordeal that he fell sick and died shortly after. She bore him another son, but the entire tragedy repeated itself, so Jia Chong was left with no heir to succeed him. In 257, at the age of 40, he was sent to probe Xu Geidan's intentions should Sima Zhao usurp the throne. Xu Geidan feigned loyalty to the Simas, but Jia Chong saw through it, and reported that he would most likely be unwilling to submit to his regency. Sima then summoned Xu Geidan to the capital, which triggered his rebellion, which was soon crushed, and Jia Chong became even more highly regarded by Sima Zhao. When the Wei Emperor Tao Mao was unable to contain his anger about Sima Zhao's monopolization of power, he attempted a coup to retake power from the regent. Sima Zhao's brother, Sima Zhou, was defeated quickly by the Tao loyalists, but it was Jia Chong who was willing to and able to stand up against the emperor. He ordered his subordinate Chengji to take any measure necessary to secure victory, so he personally speared Tao Mao to death. In the aftermath of the incident, the people demanded for the criminals to be punished, so Sima Zhao took 10 days to think it through. In the end, he had Chengji and his clan executed, but he spared Jia Chong as he didn't want to kill someone who had proven himself so loyal to him. Jia Chong's positive reputation among the people soon turned to one of regicide. He was later utilized by Sima Zhao to counter Zhong Hui's rebellion after the fall of Shou. Sima Zhao had foreseen Zhong Hui's rebellion, but he noticed that the troops would be easy to demoralize, as they were either tired Wei troops or unsure ex-Shou troops. Zhong Hui received a letter from Sima Zhao regarding the arrest of Deng Ai. I fear Deng Ai might not submit. I have ordered Jia Chong to lead 10,000 infantry and cavalry into the Zi Valley and station at Yuecheng. I will lead 100,000 troops to garrison at Chang'an. We will be meeting each other soon. By the time that Sima Zhao reached Chang'an, Zhong Hui had already been killed in a mutiny. In September of the next year, Sima Zhao passed away. His son Sima Yan forced the last Wei Emperor Tao Huan to abdicate in February of 266, officially ending Wei's existence and replacing it with the Jin dynasty. Sima Yan became known as Emperor Wu of Jin, and Jia Chong continued to be an important loyal figure within this new government, going on to be enfeoffed as the Duke of Lu. His first wife, Li Wan, and his daughters were granted amnesty for their crimes against the past regime, and so were allowed to return. Emperor Wu thought Jia wanted them back, and so allowed him to take 2 formal spouses, but he refused, despite his family begging to return to him. He had a separate residence built for them, but he never visited. Guo Huai grew jealous of Li and sent spies to always look for proof that Jia Chong visited them. She once approached the house with the intention of humiliating Li, but she herself tripped and fell at her feet. She never visited Li Wan's house again. Jia Chong was commissioned to draft the new laws of the Jin dynasty, which were initially considered to be more lenient than the strict laws of Wei. However, the uneven enforcement of the laws meant the nobles were still often treated with exception. For years, Jia Chong engaged in a political rivalry with Ren Kai and Yu Chun. In 271, they persuaded Emperor Wu to have Jia lead troops to attack the Xianbei rebels led by Tu Fu Shu Jineng. Jia did not want to go fight at all, and managed to get out of his duty by arranging a marriage. Guo Huai convinced the emperor's wife, Empress Yang, to accept the offer to wed their daughter, Jia Nanfeng, to Emperor Wu's disabled son, Sima Zhong. Zhong would eventually go on to be an emperor himself, where he would spend his life unable to assert his own authority, always being controlled by different regents, of which there were at least 9. This naturally bred corruption, which eventually led to the invasion of the 5 barbarians and the downfall of the Jin dynasty. By the year 272, Ren Kai and Yu Chun were forced out of politics entirely due to Jia Chong's efforts. In 279, Emperor Wu wanted to invade the last of the 3 kingdoms as part of his grand vision to unite all of China under Jin. Jia Chong opposed this idea, fearing Wu was too difficult to conquer. Emperor Wu ignored his advice, and at the same time appointed him to coordinate a 6-pronged attack into Wu, which he declined. When the emperor declared that he himself would arrange the invasion in his stead, Jia Chong finally gave in, but opposed military action. By the early 280s, he had found success against Wu, and despite conquering the western half, he wrote a memorial to the emperor pressing for the invasion to be stopped. The Wu emperor, Sun Hao, ended up surrendering to Jin shortly after, which made Jia Chong feel so ashamed he offered to resign. This was refused, as the emperor had perceived Jia Chong's contributions during the campaign to be of worth. Jia Chong fell critically ill in 282, so Emperor Wu bestowed upon him a special honour of allowing the Crown Prince Sima to pay him a special visit. Left with no direct heir, his second wife Guo Huai wanted his grandson to inherit his titles. This was considered inappropriate by the official who selected important posthumous names. He wanted to title Jia Chong as Huang, literally meaning performer of illegal acts, but Emperor Wu declined this, instead favouring Wu, literally meaning marshal. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and I'll see you next time.